all our efforts are at risk in the event of an armed conflict, of earthquake, of fire, and all other types of calamities. Preparing for an organized and prompt response, it is of the utmost importance, even though we often tend to think that either there is still enough time or that we are unlikely to find ourselves in such situation. Unfortunately, the very recent past and even the present is showing us otherwise. If we look to our neighbors in the north, the Ukrainians, or if we look towards Paris, Notre Dame, and so on. So this event is one who makes me extremely happy. A year ago, it was like just an idea, discussing it with Peter. And even 2 months ago, it seems like a project. But here it is happening these days under an extraordinarily perfect title, Shielding the Past. What could be more perfect? Well, I have to thank our teams, the Blue Shield and the National Institute of Heritage, Emma, Andrea, Roxana, Zoe, Maria, which were directly involved in all this. And they were very, very prompt and very good. Unfortunately, our minister couldn't join us this morning, and so I will read the message that she has for you, the message of our Minister of Culture, Ms. Raluca Turcan. So, esteemed Secretary of State, General Secretary of the National Commission of Romania for UNESCO, President of ICOM, representative of ICOMOS, President of the National Network of Romanian Museums, Blue Shield representative, and last but not least, Professor Peter Stone, President of Blue Shield International. The Hague Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the event of armed conflict, the first international document dedicated exclusively to the protection of heritage, has reached its 70th anniversary, and we are honored to host this major event to celebrate. In 1954, Romania was one of the 56 state parties that signed this important international treaty. In fact, our country has been a reliable partner since the beginning of international legislation regarding humanitarian law. Both the Hague Conventions in 1899 and 1907 have been ratified, and the large number of treaties related with this filled over time. For Romanian heritage, in the last 2 years, important steps have been taken in the understanding and development of the mechanism for the protection of cultural property. In 2022 and 2023, the first 2 visits that Professor Peter Stone, the president of Blue Shield International, made to our country ended with the idea of the third one, organizing the Blue Shield General Assembly here in Bucharest. The National Institute of Heritage, already the main partner of Blue Shield International in this journey, represents the Ministry of Culture in all the approaches. From the 2022 meetings with representatives of the Romanian government, professional organization, and civil society, we are now in the presence of representatives of Blue Shield national committees all over the world. We salute you. From some 2 short discussions in 2023 about who, how, and when, we host 3 full days of reports, training, and workshop. Thank you for supporting the creation of the Romanian National Committee and for all the knowledge transferred to the participants. Shielding the past is a slogan which we should repeat in the face of every threat to our heritage. Not only the proximity of war, but conflicts all around the world prove that this protection is a real need for human civilization. It is our duty to come together and learn from each event and from each other. We welcome you, we are honored by your trust and presence here, and we wish you a fruitful exchange of ideas and know-how in the most peaceful way possible. This was the message of our minister. And now let's begin. Allow me to give the word to the representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Janina Sitaru, oversees Romania's international diplomatic efforts with a focus on cultural diplomacy and UNESCO collaboration.
Thank you, Oana. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. It gives me a great pleasure to be here today and to welcome you at the opening session of the event Shielding the Past, 70 Years of the Hague Convention. The organization of this event represents a special opportunity to address together, in a joint effort, on an area of major interest, which has been constantly on the agenda of several institutions and organizations directly involved in the protection of cultural heritage. It's a pleasure to me, again, Mr. Peter Stone, and I would like to welcome the initiative of this event, which takes place at an appropriate time, given the current international context. The multiple changes, their scale, as well as the increasing unpredictability of the problems faced by today's societies require, on the one hand, the development of tools that allow societies subject to challenges to demonstrate the ability to permanently adapt in the event of armed conflict. On the other hand, they require the need to raise public awareness through educational initiative and cultural exchange. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs pays special attention to the protection of cultural heritage, recognizing its vital role in peace building and the preservation of the global history. Today's event represents an opportunity to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the 1954 Hague Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the event of armed conflict. Esteemed guests, in the aftermath of the Second World War, the international community came together, recognizing the need of safeguard cultural property for future generations. The Hague Convention was the outcome of this historic effort. It represents a critical moment in global cooperation and a testament to the understanding that cultural heritage is not only a legacy of the past, but also the foundation for peace, identity, and the future. 70 years on, the importance of the Hague Convention has never been more evident. Only in Ukraine, over 1,000 cultural heritage sites suffered from the Russian military aggression since February 2022. As conflicts persist and new challenges emerge, the preservation of cultural heritage continues to play a pivotal role in healing communities and rebuilding societies. Protecting this irreplaceable treasure is not merely about safeguarding monuments or architecture, art, or history. It's about defending the very soul of human civilization, our shared history, values, and identity. Today, we not only celebrate the success of the Hague Convention, but also take this opportunity to renew our collective responsibility to its principles. Governments, international organizations, NGOs, and individuals, together, we must continue to build on this legacy. The EU concept on cultural heritage in conflicts and crises also provides an important contribution to exchanging our common strategic approach to peace, security, resilience, and development of communities. From this perspective, the Silk Road Heritage Corridors is an example of a successful partnership between UNESCO and the European Union. Through collaboration and action, we can ensure that cultural heritage is protected even in the most challenging circumstances. Let me now also recognize, on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the vital work of those on the front lines of this mission. Heritage professionals, scholars, and advocates. Your dedication to preserving humanity's cultural property is essential. As we embark on today's discussion, I'm confident that our shared knowledge, experience, and commitments will further strengthen our resolve to protect cultural heritage. Together, we can continue to shield the past and build a future where his history is preserved and respected, even in the face of the adversity. Because it is as the Ukrainian philosopher Volodymyr Yermolenko said, heritage is something that ensures a connection between the dead, the alive, and the not yet born. I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janina. And now we'll listen to the message of Her Excellency Ambassador Simona Mirela Nițulescu, President of the UNESCO General Conference and Romania's Permanent Delegate to UNESCO, who is a leading figure in international cultural diplomacy, sharing Romania's contribution to global heritage through this video message. If there is any problem. Should we pass to the next speaker and then? Okay, so, well, Secretary General of the National Commission of Romania for UNESCO, Ms. Madlene Șerban, coordinates Romania's efforts in promoting UNESCO's values in education, culture, and science.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Secretary of State, distinguished representatives of world organizations, it is really an honor for us, the representatives of the National Commission of Romania for UNESCO, to greet you and welcome those of you coming from abroad to Romania. We really hope that this is just a first time, because others will continue. I remember it was like yesterday when I got a call from the Secretary General of the National Commission of UK, James Bridge, saying, look, do you know about the Blue Shield? I said, well, do you know something about the Hague Convention? Well, I know, it was a long time ago that has been adopted. Do you have something organized, like a committee of the National Committee on the Blue Shield in Romania? No, but we are ready, because we are discussing all these topics since a long time, as the Secretary of State of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying, but we do not know what is the most appropriate home for hosting such a convention, obligations. And then Peter Stone arrived, and we were starting learning, illuminating our minds. Okay, now we know how we have to go. And look, today, we are here in this 70-year celebration of a movement that, I'm very sorry to put it in this way, but I wish to be not the case to continue his work, because UNESCO in itself was established for making sure that the peace is built in the minds of the people and the war will not continue. But I'm very sorry to observe, like you, that unfortunately it's so needed in our days like it was 70 years ago, to protect the cultural property. What is the cultural property? Is the DNA of a community, the DNA of a nation. So if we are not taking care of our identity, then who we are, so who we are as citizens, who we are as societies, and it's vital. Of course, that safeguarding the cultural heritage is a daily, I would say, obligation of everyone, as has been already said, underlined here. It's not only the institutions, but equally the citizens themselves should do it, and for doing that, you have to know what does it mean. And that's why education is vital. That's why at the National Commission we are organizing, I should say, considerable number of actions for making sure that we are informing those in the communities where there is an UNESCO already listed heritage, but not only, to be aware of what does it mean, the cultural heritage, being it tangible or intangible. And we are not alone in that. We are cooperating with with our partners that some of them are already sitting here. And I would like to thank the National Institute of Heritage for the wonderful work they do. And whenever we are in need of an expertise, because as you imagine at the National Commission, we do not have such expertise, we are just coordinating activities, so then they are always present, and all of those sitting here or not in the room, they are equally very, I would say, ready, prompt in giving us a help in what we do. But because I said that 70 years ago, it was a need, and I'm very sorry that it's still the need continues to be, this gives me the opportunity to tell you that on the 13th of September in UNESCO, in Paris at UNESCO, it will be a celebration of 100 years since the Institute for the International Intellectual Cooperation started. This was the precursor of UNESCO. And in our message of the national commissions that we are meeting time to time, we are just conveying the message to everyone that trusts education, culture, and science, that we need more of intellectual cooperation. Because maybe we moved towards operationalization to administrative approaches rather than thinking with our minds how intellectual cooperation can pave the way towards peace. And if possible, then let's do it. What I'm sure about is that the General Assembly of the Blue Shield will make an important step forward in giving a message to UNESCO on how best to do and to organize our lives in view of making sure that whatever it will be the case, the people that are right now involved in all these conflicts will change their minds and will protect people. And when protecting people, they protect as well their cultural property. I'm also, once again, as everybody said right now, delighted, honored to know that in Romania we are hosting this event, very important, and we are looking for having your messages to be conveyed to those that are in the designations of UNESCO in Romania, and here I'm referring to the schools, to the chairs, to the NGOs, and to all the other designations according to the programs of UNESCO. Thank you very much for being here, and wish you a successful meeting with very important conclusions to move ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madlene. Always a pleasure to listening to you. And now allow me to give the word to President of ICOM Romania, Mr. Virgil Nițulescu, who is a prominent advocate of museums and cultural institutions, advancing Romania's museum sector within the international community.
Good morning, Mrs. Secretary of State, Mrs. General Secretary of the National Romanian Commission for UNESCO, Mr. President Storm, dear colleagues. Destroying cultural heritage is no new news. In 146 before Christ, Scipio destroyed Cartagena because he wanted to annul everything which was connected with Carthaginese civilization. And it was destroyed one more time by Arabs in the end of the 7th century because it was a Christian city. And this went on and on all over medieval times and in modern epoch and in the First World War and in the Second World War. Remember that the German aviation destroyed the cathedral in Coventry and the old city of Coventry, the old center of Coventry, on purpose, creating after that in the English language a new word, Coventryfication, which means exactly this, to destroy, culturally speaking, a city. Well, the Allies destroyed on purpose the Frauenkirche in Dresden. It was bombed just because it was the core of the city of Dresden. It was not a military objective. And it was rebuilt with popular help only after 1990. Because the German communists wanted to keep it as a ruin in the center of the city just to show to the next generations the fact that the British and the Americans bombed the church. And this happened all over again. You know that the only reason for which the wonderful temples we've seen in Kyoto when we were at the General Conference of ICOM in 2019 is that President Truman didn't want to bomb Kyoto because he visited Kyoto when he was young as a tourist, and he said, "What? It's a nice city. Let's choose another city." And he chose Hiroshima because he never heard about Hiroshima. He didn't imagine that Hiroshima could be a nice city. So this is the only reason for which the temples in Kyoto are still there. They survived after the nuclear attack over Japan. But of course, enlightened persons after the Second World War said, it's enough. We have to protect our cultural heritage because it doesn't matter who is fighting. We should not destroy the national identities of any kind of nations. I saw the documents in the archive of the Ministry of Culture after Romania have joined the Treaty of Hague. There were annual reports made by the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Culture each year after 1958, each year. And this went until the beginning of the 70s. At the beginning of the 70s, slowly, nor the Ministry of Culture, neither the Ministry of Defense were interested anymore in making reports about progress in terms of bringing the provisions of the Hague Convention to facts, because it was already the spirit of Helsinki. It was a time when all the wars were pursued by proxies in Asia, in Africa, but not in Europe. And nobody thought that a war could start in the heart of Europe until the war started in the heart of Europe, in Yugoslavia, in the former Yugoslavia. And then I saw with my own eyes for the first time the blue shield which protected a wagon, a train wagon carrying some cultural items. It was for the first time I saw that an army, it was a Serbian army, tried to protect its cultural heritage, and indeed that train was not bombed by the NATO aviation. But what is happening in the rest of the world right now? What happened when Russia annexed two provinces from Georgia? What happened more recently when museums in the occupied zone of Donbass were destroyed? No defense and no way of using the blue shield. I'm not sure, in fact I'm convinced that the Russian soldiers that are devastating museums are aware that about the significance of the blue shield. Unfortunately, I don't want to give any cold shower to anyone in my country, but unfortunately I have to admit that Romania is not prepared to face a national catastrophe as a war or something as a natural catastrophe, because we have to be prepared for earthquakes, for floods, for fires. They are as bad as wars are. And unfortunately, Romanian museums, we in Romanian museums, we are not prepared to have means to deploy the cultural goods in a protected, a safe place. We are not prepared to move the cultural items. We don't have the personnel, we don't have the furniture and so on. This is a problem which was not established yet in Romania. And of course, our organizations, ICOM and ICOMOS, which are active in Romania, the national committees, they cannot do this by themselves. For this, we need a governmental decision, and we need the help, the political decision of the Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Defense. Until these two national authorities will not take the decision to protect the cultural heritage in Romania in advance, we will not be able to do it. So I think that this is right now in Romania the main target for us. And of course, I'm very sure that the Blue Shield Romania, which is just right now reorganizing, will be able to give all the scientific advice necessary for this. We are not so many in Romania in these two national commissions, but believe me, we are the best specialists in both national committees, and we are prepared to help the national authorities to do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's what we are doing now. We are preparing. So, the next speaker, board member of ICOMOS Romania, former president of ICOMOS Romania, Mrs. Irina Iamandescu is dedicated to the preservation of Romania's architectural heritage and aligning national conservation practices with international standards. And my colleague.
Thank you very much, dear Oana, and I salute everybody here, Mrs. State Secretary, Mrs. General Secretary of the National Commission for UNESCO, Peter, our distinguished colleagues from Blue Shield International committees. I'm very happy to be here in my capacity of board member of ICOMOS now, to salute you on behalf of our organization and our new president, elected recently, Professor Rodica Crișan, who is now abroad on a conference in Italy. It is really satisfying for me personally, in fact, that our initiative in 2011 that we had through our at that time President Mr. Sergiu Nistor, who is now the Counselor of the President of Romania, together with Virgil here, who just spoke on behalf of ICOM, as well as our colleagues from the National Archives and the National Libraries Associations. It was a protocol that we started in 2011, and it was an agreement to cooperate in order to establish Blue Shield Romania. This was a very good initiative at the time, but didn't find the instrument. And as Virgil just said, this kind of connection with a state institution, as well as the support and the real cooperation with Blue Shield itself in a way that we found ourselves now, together with Peter and with all of you here. I consider it a great progress, and we are looking forward to actually establishing the instruments, the real instruments, to be prepared on the two components, so risk preparedness, be prepared for anything, expect anything, and be prepared for anything, as well as be able to act in case an unfortunate event, either natural or provoked by man, occurs. On behalf of ICOMOS Romania, I am very happy this is finally happening. ICOMOS is one of the main drivers of heritage protection globally, as you all know, and of course one of the main founder partners of Blue Shield. It has a scientific committee in ICORP that deals with these issues, is preoccupied with producing instruments for protection, manuals for preparation of professionals in this field, and establishing national methodologies. I'm in my capacity, my double capacity of ICOMOS representative, as well as deputy head of deputy director for historic monuments in the National Institute of Heritage, in charge with the national record of monuments, as well as World Heritage list in Romania. I have this responsibility of cooperating and helping to build one of the main instruments in the implementation of the Hague Convention, which is the list, or the three segments of the list: the enhanced protection, the special protection, and the general protection list. Of course, one could say these are only lists, and it's easy enough to produce them, which couldn't be further from the truth, because, of course, a selection might be relatively easy to produce, but it doesn't come as a list, and the list itself doesn't protect anything. It should come with the real instruments behind to really protect. In this respect, I want to salute our colleague here, Julian Visauer, who is the restless focal point for the Hague Convention, and also for the Humanitarian Rights Convention, and our main collaborator in this topic, and I'm very hopeful that we will continue our work together. And I also salute our colleague Andrea Pop, who I cannot see here. Okay, sorry, she's there. Who ICOMOS Romania, among other institutions, supported as a focal point, as a national representative for the creation, legal creation, I mean, of Blue Shield Romania. Last but not least, preparedness means people, in fact. I mean, people who are capable to react, who know what to do, who can work efficiently in a system that is supported by the Romanian state. In this respect, our institute did a lot of efforts recently to ensure the preparedness of some of our experts. As we speak, there is a course in Japan organized by ICOM on risk preparedness, and we have a representative there. And I'm very proud that this is the third person that is following the course, and then we have a corps of professionals that could react properly to this issue. And of course, we are also participating in the ProCultHer program, which is associated to the EU CPM, the European Union Civil Protection Mechanism, which has a very strong cultural heritage protection component, and it serves us well in building our own instruments in Romania, because we are not expected to invent hot water or to build new things by ourselves, but to function all together in a European and international cooperation network. So for this, I'm insisting on this system approach, and I'm saluting here the representatives of our colleagues in the Ministry of Interior Affairs, Ministry of Defense, the General Inspectorate for Emergency Situations also, who are our partners in these efforts, and hopefully will will be our partners in establishing this efficient system. Thank you very much, and please count us in for expert support with the whole network of ICOMOS Romania experts. It's an organization with 100, over 100 members. So it's, as Virgil said, both ICOM and ICOMOS are with you, with us, together in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Irina. So now, last but not least, President of the National Network of Romanian Museums, leads efforts to enhance collaboration among Romanian museums and promote cultural heritage both nationally and globally. Mr. Ciprian Ștefan, our friend and colleague.
Hello everybody, thank you Oana for this opportunity. I will be very short. I'm here to learn, but also to address some challenges. Because right now in Romanian museums, we have challenges that is related with the climate changes. For the outdoor museums, we cannot speak only about the fire, we cannot speak only about the flood, we have to speak about the humidity, we have to speak about the storms that really destroyed our heritage. But also, what kind of instruments can we provide, or what kind of directions can we provide to our decision makers in order to have those resources before it's too late. And I think we have to have a final paper to spread in our authority level in order to have a strategy, but also a law. We have resources, human resources, qualified people, but we don't have financial resources in order to make the rules, to make the procedures, and also to assure spaces for the heritage. If a storm is in Maramureș, in the open-air museums, and destroys 3 houses from 17th century, which will be the artifacts, which will be the cultural objects that our colleagues, together with the other authorities, will save, and where to transport it, where to plant it, and where to protect it. So I can speak for our Romanian museums, and we need those answers, really, to know what we will do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ciprian. We're supposed to have another video message from Mrs. Ana Maria Cătăuță, which is the President of Romanian Parliament Joint Committee for UNESCO. Unfortunately, due to technical problems, we cannot see the message, so I will just tell you from the part of Ana Maria that she is very happy that this Blue Shield National Committee Romania is happening, and this General Assembly is happening in Bucharest, and she wishes us fruitful days here. I think we are all eager to see what the next days are going to bring us, and we all wonder which are the particularities between national committees. And many things that we want to do in a short time, I'm sure that we're going to need a longer period that we imagine to succeed in achieving.